Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Co-Creators Convergence Thursday conversation on theconversation.cc. I'm Noelle Marshall with Light Partners, and today is November 19th. We have a very exciting guest I want to introduce you to in just one moment. First, I want to tell you a little bit about the Co-Creators Convergence. We are a Barbara Marx Hubbard legacy group dedicated to giving our unique gift to the shift in humanity, thereby co-creating a world that works for everyone. We do this with great love, compassion, and joy, honoring all realms of creation to accelerate the awakening of humanity. So you can find this recording and many others on our website, co-creatorsconvergence.com. And please join our Facebook page, facebook.com/group/loveccc. So with all that out of the way, let me tell you about our wonderful guest tonight, Ahsaki Kai. She is clairaudient, clairsentient, clairvoyant, claircognizant, a medium channel, and empathic. She is passionate about using her gifts and talents to help her clients overcome obstacles through psychic therapy, spiritual counseling, hypnotherapy, and teaching them to connect with their intuition. Many of her clients are million-dollar coaches, shamans, spiritual teachers, leaders, and light workers. Ahsaki is a natural intuitive, first coming into awareness of her ability at around age 4. She has spent a lifetime honing her skills through a career that has encompassed social work, counseling, sales, and marketing. Those experiences, combined with specialized training and certifications in advanced spiritual counseling, hypnotherapy, and Reiki, have enabled her to serve thousands of clients all over the world with answers that bring them clarity, direction, and a sense of peace. Boy, we need more of that in this world. Ahsaki's intuitive gifts have led her to a unique stance on the self-development. Quote, "My self-development, spiritual, and emotional evolution has catapulted since connecting strongly to my intuitive force." Unquote. She has often said it is the most important connection any person will ever know, as connection to source energy is connection to God. It is with this understanding that Ahsaki came to coaching intuitive development level 1, both in groups and individually. As Ahsaki is a big believer that you cannot take anyone where you have not been in relation to spiritual counseling and teaching. Ahsaki's specialty is working with people who may be on a spiritual journey or awakening. And I think that's about all of us here tonight and all of those who will be listening. Ahsaki is proud to be true to her passions and purpose while helping so many extraordinary people reach their own truth, because it's impossible to describe in mere words the magnitude of being present for the wow and aha moments. So with that, I welcome Ahsaki Kai. And due to a little technical difficulty we had at the beginning of the recording, she's going to pick up a little bit into her talk. So please be patient. It's certainly worth the wait. And thank you all so much for being here tonight. And come back next Thursday. It'll be Thanksgiving, just for a drop-in hour, same time, same location. You can always find the Zoom link on www.theconversation.cc. No password needed. And also, we're going to have a Friendsgiving, and that will be the day after Thanksgiving from 7 until 10 Eastern Time. And we're going to have a lot of fun, frivolity, memories made, and memories relived. So come and visit with the rest of your CCC family. And if you're not a family member now, there's no requirement other than saying you're interested in joining our Facebook page. And that is facebook.com/group/loveccc. And I do indeed. So now welcome into the conversation with the amazing Ahsaki Kai.
is really where the self-discovery process began. And I genuinely believe that most people's self-discovery process is 1,000 times easier when they understand the voice. In other words, when they are in touch with the self enough to develop and speak to their own intuition. It is the GPS to the soul. It is literally the thing that is driving us to do all the things that we don't realize that we're actually doing. A lot of time our bodies are moving in a totally different direction from what our mind is telling us. And I almost find it comedic at times. It's like, oh boy, I'm doing something totally different from what I'm saying. I wonder why. And then I got to sit down and light a candle and get honest and go in. And when I go in and really reflect on what is my truth, I find my behavior was already moving in that direction. We have a knowing. It's inside of us. It's been inside of us since the moment we were conceived, likely before that. And when we get to the earth plane, that knowing drives us constantly. It's so funny to me in class, in teaching class, I find all the time, and this is the best example I can come up with, you're driving along. I use this example because I live in Atlanta now, and I used to live in upstate New York, so traffic is very different here from where I used to live. So I've learned a lot about the things you do and how your intuition comes into play just behind the wheel of a car. You drive to a stoplight, and something inside you says, go left. Just go left. Go left. You go right. Because it's what the routine tells you, right? It's what you do every day. And normally you would go right. So why would you veer from that now? Because the inner knowing knows. So you go right. And you hit a roadblock and there's some road work happening and you get slowed down and there's a whole 5-minute delay, or if it's Midtown Atlanta, maybe 20 minutes. You get the idea. Picture that a different way. When you get to the stoplight and you simply move in the knowing that that little voice inside of you didn't come from nowhere. No, that actually meant something. Maybe I should try it. We are often stumped in behavior because so much of our social conditioning, religious conditioning, parental conditioning, pick any conditioning you want, so much of our conditioning says, do what's normal. Do what you see around, what the instructions have been to you. And a lot of the time your knowing is far beyond what you've been taught in school or in religious class or any place else, or even from your parents. They taught us the best they knew how. That's the beauty of a parent. They're always going to give you everything they've got. But there's always going to be an advancement beyond what they taught you, right? We're a world that's evolving constantly. So we often get stuck between the behavior and what the intuitive knowing is. Let me take a step back and tell you a little bit more about my story. When I'm going to say in between the ages of 7 and 11, my whole life was deja vu. I used to have dreams all the time, and they would come true, everywhere. I could always see these repeating echoes of life going, okay, well, this didn't come from nowhere. That must mean something. Doesn't mean I defined it then. It was just one of those little seedlings. Again, when I was around 17, I found myself gravitating to books, anything that had to do with shamanism, spirituality. I just wanted to learn. There was constantly a thirst for give me more. My foundation is not heavy in religion, although my parents are from the Jim Crow Deep South. So their foundation is very different from mine. And I don't doubt that I was indoctrinated into some of those ideas, but I've always had a lot of freedom to explore, religion and spirituality and kind of devise it the way I wanted to. When I was 20, I was sexually assaulted by a classmate, a fellow college mate. And I tell that part of the story, not so much for sympathy, but so that there's an understanding. What happened afterwards was one of the most pivotal moments of my life, and it was long before I became a professional psychic. I found I had this ear ringing happening, literally, physical ear ringing, so much so that I was going to specialists. Every 3 months I was going to a specialist going, what's wrong with my ears? I have ear infections, right? And they're looking, there really wasn't an actual problem except extraordinary pain. Constant ringing, I just couldn't figure it out. Now, in our 3D selves, we naturally go, let's go to the doctor and get an answer for that, right? Because that's what we do. It never occurred to me until probably about 10 years later that spirit was screaming at me to have a conversation. And I just didn't understand how spirit knocks at the door, how spirit is trying to come through. And it is, we've heard Oprah say this, we've heard all sorts of spiritual teachers and writers talk about that voice, the little voice inside of us that's coming out and saying, hey, go this way, or hey, try this. And so often it is alternative to what we've been told. We push back on it. I'm not sure if that's right. We think we need to think about it. I tell everyone, divine intelligence moves 1,000 times faster than anything our brain could possibly process. So very often we're rejecting the notion of the knowing that comes in, not recognizing that that is smarter than anything we ever learned in school. And I do mean that literally, folks. No matter how many times I test that out, that theory pans through. Divine intelligence is faster, smarter, more efficient. We will get to questions and answers at a certain point. You may find I literally answer a question faster than you ask it. Why? Because they're moving faster than me. My mouth may be saying the words, but the instrument, the source, all that there is, the speed with which they move is almost impossible to describe because it's hard for the brain to conceptualize. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how we all get in touch with our GPS, with our internal GPS. And my process is pretty woo-woo. I don't come from an engineering background. I come from a social work background. So I'm soft touch feely. I have a feeling that'll work with this crowd just based on what I've seen so far. I have a feeling that's going to be okay for everyone, but it is very much, go into the light and guided meditation. What I have really learned through the process of teaching, the self-work, the constant contact with intuition, and I read for at least one person daily, just because I like to stay in tune with what the pulse of the planet is, and that's a good way for me to do it. But what I have learned from all of those things is divine timing is exceptionally quick and exceptionally accurate. And the more that we are able to touch, feel, sense, and experience, the more we actually believe. I'm Morpheus from the Matrix now. The more we actually believe what is happening around us and the guidance system that is attempting to get us there.
People come to me to take coursework because they want to connect with a passed on loved one, a brother, a mom, somebody who really meant something to them. And hence they start on this journey towards self-discovery. The self-discovery part, I think for most of my students, just like it was for me, is accidental and the best accident ever. It's a natural byproduct of when you are learning to connect with your GPS system, simply because in order to hear the voice and hear it effectively, you have to clear out the stuff. Most of you would probably refer to that as shadow work or internal self work. Anything that you're doing in that regard allows that voice, that GPS inside of you to amplify. Is anybody familiar with the show? I got a feeling you're not a lot of television watchers, but is anyone familiar with the series Westworld on HBO? Okay, there is a character that really is almost kind of narrating the entire story. It's a very off-center story about AI kind of taking over, but it's set in a scene often that is very historical, like the Wild Wild West, that kind of thing. But it's really just a lot of story about how we all relate to one another and the development of the self. And one of the main characters, who again is really narrating the whole story, says so many people want to go up, really speaking to how many of us want to get out there to this place, whatever that may be, whether that's heaven, whether it's being ascended, whether it is being the biggest possible channel ever. We're all talking about the same relative thing. It's all about going up. And he said something so intelligent. He said it in the first season, there's been 5 since, and I have not stopped saying it in all of my courses. The easiest, the fastest, and the most deliberate way to go up is to go in. You have to go in order to go up. And I think sometimes that process may be lost on people because they want so much to just kind of be able to tap in and see the things and know what's going on. The things are a microcosm of what we are all manifesting. In other words, the psychic can only tell you what you're currently creating as the client, as the person sitting across the table. That's all I'm really peering into, is What are you co-creating with the universe? The answer back from the universe is going to be a reflection of what is coming from you right now. Not the thing you want, but the thing you're actually creating. That's a huge difference between those two things. We'll get more into that later, but it's always about the thing that you're actually co-creating with the universe, whether that's about your cat and your dog, your mom and your dad, your children, your job, your wanting to get out of a job, your money, whatever the factor may be. It is always about how you are co-creating with the universe. I am going to open up the chat, ladies and gents, because I am used to an interactive classroom and I see comments popping up and I don't want to miss them. Yes. Okay. The fastest way up is to go in. Perfect. Okay. So we're going to do a couple of exercises because I am a big believer in experiential teaching. I know lots of people who do what I do, and they do it, you know, with slides and the conversation for 60 to 90 minutes. I genuinely believe most of us, especially in the spiritual world, we learn through touching, feeling, sensing, and that's how you know this thing is really on. And you're actually connected to something because you're going to touch it, feel it, smell it, sense it. It will come through all of your sensory perception. As we move through this process, you will get radiating chills. You'll have a moment where you go, ooh, I felt that. Or you'll have a sense, a knowing inside of yourself that that is absolutely accurate, or that that is absolutely not for me. And that's okay too, folks. That's what your intuition is all about. It's not so much meant for you to agree with me. It's meant for you to agree with you. Am I making sense? Okay. So I'd like to do a little exercise with you. We're going to do a guided meditation to meet our spirit guides. I don't doubt many of you have probably done this before. And most of you probably know that we have thousands of spirit guides. There's no one. There's 101 at a minimum. I guarantee it. And usually there are thousands, and they are all there, by the way, from birth. From the minute we hit the planet. Some of them play intricate roles when we're teenagers and developing into adults, and some play intricate roles when we get married or have kids or graduate from college or, you know, get the big engineering job or anything else in between. Give me more. I'm sorry, you'll have to go back with me on, give me a whole question on that. What are we moving into? I don't remember what I said. I should have mentioned this at the beginning. I'm channeling. That means it comes in one ear, out of my mouth, and I literally have no total recall on what I've said. I'm not kidding when I say that. If you ask me an hour from now what we spoke about, I'm going to go, well, the gist of it was such and such and such, but I'm going to need to watch the replay to be able to quote it back to you verbatim, guaranteed. Okay, the guided meditation. Yeah, we're going into, oh, I'm sorry, maybe that was what it was. We're going into a guided meditation. I say in because guided meditations, I am a trained hypnotherapist. So guided meditations take you to the subconscious, to the place where you get to peel back the egoic layer and get to truth inside you. This is a very internal process. It's for each one of you to do individually. So you're not necessarily sharing your whole experience. And that's part of the beauty. It's comes out of the realm of your judgment or anyone else's, because it's just you and your co-creation moving along through whatever visuals you see, whatever happens to come in. By the way, there's no wrong way to do a guided meditation. You can't get this wrong. Seriously, there's no A, B, C on this one. You cannot get it wrong, I promise. No matter what you see, what visuals come up, if it's just blank the entire time, if it's just green sky, it's all perfect. You're going to see exactly what you're supposed to see for your best and highest good. Am I making sense when I say that? All right, perfect. So I would love for all of you, because I can see pretty much everybody is sitting. I would love for you to just make sure your feet are planted on the floor, arms someplace where they won't fall over. And I would love it if your back is supported if you're sitting in a chair. Now, I will tell you readily, I am a trance junkie. What does that really mean? When I'm in a trance state, and when you are all in trance with me, when we go through this guided hypno, I'm going to be in a trance state right along with you. That's probably different from how most people apply hypnotherapy, because they don't often go on the journey with you. But because I'm psychic, I'm able to see things while we're going on this journey. And that's very helpful to me when I'm actually teaching. So you're going to see me do things like rock back and forth. That's really common. You'll notice most people who channel, either twirl fingers or toes or do other autonomic body movements. That's just us moving energy through ourselves, because it is a lot of energy once we're at the channel space. You will hear me say often, and I'm going to give a brief instruction on this before I actually start. I tell everyone to breathe in through your nose, count up to 8, and then breathe out through your mouth, letting all the air, all the oxygen out of your lungs, out of your diaphragm, releasing all the air in your body. Let's do that again. Breathe in, please. In through your nose. And out through your mouth. Good. Breathe in again. And breathe out. Feel your body releasing tension every time you exhale. Breathe in. And breathe out. Good. Breathe in. And breathe out. Good. Keeping your eyes closed, I would love for you all to go on a journey with me. A journey into rows and rows of lavender fields. As far as you can see, there are just rows and rows of beautiful lavender stalks, some tall, some short. The aroma is pungent in the air. The temperature is perfect, exactly what you would want it to be. The day is crisp. The sun is shining. And you walk through the rows between the lavender field. Down each row, you walk along, running your fingers along the lavender, feeling it between your fingers and in the palms of your hands. Every step that you take, you feel more and more relaxed, more and more at peace, and more in tune with the nature and the world around you. See yourself walking down the lavender rows, taking in the air, letting it waft by your cheeks. Letting the lavender aroma fill your lungs. As you continue to walk, every step you take, you feel more relaxed, more at peace, more refreshed. You notice that the dirt goes slightly downhill. And as you walk down the hill, you start to notice a forest in front of you. Trees going back for a while. You start to walk towards the entry point of the forest, noticing a path. Every step you take, you get closer and closer to the tall pine trees, and closer to the path that moves through them. As you get to the entry of the small forest, you notice lavender bushes all around the entry, as if the lavender fields and the forest converge with one another right in this place. You start to walk along the path into the trees. With every step you take, a certainty and anticipation and excitement that something is coming that you've been looking forward to. You continue to walk down the path full of peaceful nature, knowing that your guardian angel is with you, knowing that the ancestors are watching and making sure you are safe and guarded the entire time. As you continue to walk, you notice moss on the trees, a slight breeze that moves the leaves back and forth, still smelling a slight hint of lavender in the air. You can hear a stream in the distance, and as you continue to walk down the path, down, down, further into the forest, closer to the stream, you hear the sounds of birds in the distance. You see the sunlight peek through the trees all over the forest. You walk down a small set of stairs, and in front of those stairs is a small embankment and then a tiny little stream running along, cleansing the earth. You walk towards that stream. As you get close enough, you look down to see your own reflection. You smile. You notice you look good. You look like you feel, and you feel amazing. You take a moment, you look to the left and the right. You notice a little bridge to your right that allows you to cross the stream. You go over it. And when you reach the end of the bridge and begin to walk on the trail again, you see a cottage in the distance, and you have a feeling as if you are surrounded by magic. Continue to follow the trail as it winds along through the forest, feeling safe and surrounded by the love of your ancestors the entire time. You get closer and closer to the cottage, and you notice something etched in wood, arched over the door. The closer and closer you get to the cottage door, you recognize what's written. It's your name. It makes you smile, mostly intrigued. You feel an instantaneous welcome as you look down at the mat right in front of the door that says welcome and again has your name. You walk inside. There's someone in the kitchen. As you walk in, they tell you, meet me in the living room. I'll be right there. I'm so glad you're here. You only see them from behind, but you follow the instructions as the intrigue alone has you on such a journey. You continue to walk down the hallway into a beautiful living room. It has exactly the furniture you would want. There's a roaring fireplace. The room is fully decorated just as you would like. The right color on the walls, the right flooring. It's perfect. It's a space designed just for you, just by you. You walk into the room and you sit down in a chair not far from the fireplace. Just then, a person walks in the room. It's the same person from the kitchen. They introduce themselves and they make you aware that they are one of your spirit guides. They've watched you since you were a little person, and they're so proud of so many things that you have done. You listen to them tell anecdotals about you when you were 4 and 7 and 9, with the kind of accuracy that only a parent could have. You're impressed and filled with love at the same time. Your spirit guide looks at you and asks, "What do you want to know from me? What's the burning question that I can ask right now? What do you need knowing? What's important? What can I tell you that you don't have answered yet? How can I be of service to you?" You pause and you think deeply to yourself, what do I really want to know? Knowing all the while that you will have a million times to have as many conversations as you want. So you can make it the big grand question or a tiny small question. They all have equal importance, and your spirit guide wants to help. Take a moment and ask the question that you want a real answer to your spirit guide, and listen carefully to their answer as they respond. I'll give you a moment. Good, good. As you listen to your spirit guide you and direct you and give you intel that you need to move your life forward, to stand in your purpose. Remember that this information will always be on recall when you need it. Remember that your spirit guide is always available to ask these questions to at any time you want. Remember that everything your spirit guide tells you right now, you will have access to anytime you need. As you continue to sit in the room and listen to your spirit guide, you take a peek out the window behind them and you recognize the sun is starting to go down. You tell your spirit guide, I better get moving. But I'm so glad we had this conversation. I've waited so long to talk to you about this, and I wasn't sure where else to turn. Thank you for your time, for your intelligence, for your sharing, and thank you for loving me. Your spirit guide stands, you stand up, and they give you the biggest, warmest hug. Take a deep breath in and breathe out. As the sun is going down, you bid your spirit guide farewell. You tell them you will absolutely be returning. And you begin on your trek out the house, out the front door, back along the trail, over the bridge, up the stairs, along the trail, and back out of the woods. And when you are ready, please open your eyes and come back into the room with me. Very anxious to know what people have experienced. If anyone would like to share, whether that is on microphone or I have the chat open, let me know some of what you experienced. I saw some folks put their hands on their third eyes. I should mention this right off the rip. That is highly likely you're feeling the actual pulse or sensitivity in your third eye. Not uncommon, not uncommon at all, especially since that is where we're focused on the inner GPS and third eye kind of work. How's everybody feeling? Does anybody want to talk about their experience? What you saw, what your spirit guide looked like? That's kind of some of my favorite stuff. Like what they have on. What was the jewelry like? Because anything can happen. Everyone looks different. Yes, Shannon, go right ahead. Are you unmuted? I'll let you unmute yourself because I don't think I have full control of.
It's Ahsaki. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
My grandmother was there.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're so very welcome. I'm not going to get emotional. I'm not going to cry. But you can tell I'm lying, right? I'm already fighting the tears because that is what happens often in my work. People very often get in touch with passed on loved ones. It's the magic I'm hoping for everyone. I have had folks have the experience of seeing Jesus, seeing Mary Magdalene, the high chiefs from an indigenous tribe have shown up to bless us all, and what I find is often the truth with all group work, and anytime we're in group format in this way, co-creating, what is emotional and truth for one often helps us all get to a certain place, whether it's a lesson that's related to what it is that you're learning or what it is that's currently on my plate. So thank you even for sharing that part, because a lot of the time when people tap into family, it's so emotional. And it's good very often for most people to cross that threshold, but it's so emotional. I will say this to you, Shannon, and this is just the kind of tips that I would normally give in class. We're doing spiritual work here, even though this is just, an hour and a half long session where we do, a couple of small sample things. This is all spirit work. And for some of you, you've been doing spiritual work all day. So I'll just go ahead and put out the necessary disclaimers. Drink lots of water, get lots of rest afterwards. See, you really are my people. When you sleep tonight, you may find that folks show up that you haven't seen for a while, or there is a continuation of this subconscious work that we have done here, and we're not done with, but I'm just mentioning these things as they come to me, because I often get the message 2 days later and go, boy, I'm seeing stuff everywhere, or in my sleep, X, Y, and Z happened. And does that mean something? And I'll just get ahead of all of it and say, it's normal. I promise you're not losing your minds or anything. It's just a part of the process. And that's how spirit speaks to us, often in our sleep and often in downloads. So you may find that you're getting tangible, psychic hits, intuitive hits in the next several days because we've done this exercise. Does anyone have any questions about what they experienced, or does anybody else want to talk to what they experienced?
I just want to say thank you, Shannon. And I'm emotional. I feel you. And yes, just so beautiful. So thank you all for your vibration is so, as you're leading through the meditation, the resonance in your voice is, I don't Noelle knows me really well, and I'm about to say, I don't have words, and I always have words. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you. Because I'm familiar enough with what all of you do to know if you're impressed, that probably means something. Like, wow, okay, I think I might be doing something here. And I only say that humbly because I watch the kinds of energy that you are all putting out there. So I'm so glad to just play a role and bring that energy in. As I mentioned before I started, I am in the channel while I'm doing the guided meditation. So you got two different things happening at once. You've got the channel, which is a full whole, other esoteric experience, energetic experience. And then you've got the guided meditation in and of itself, which is the hypno part. So those two things combined, what you're really having the experience of is spirit reaching you on the subconscious level. I am so glad that it's a good experience. I can't ask for anything more.
This is Elizabeth.
Want to share an experience or ask a question?
Yeah.
Hi, Noelle. It's Elizabeth. Are you hearing me okay?
Yes.
Okay, very good. I just wanted to sort of link it in that the question I asked was answered with remember. Just when you said remember.
Yes. Yes.
So I just wanted to give that affirmation.
Thank you. That's intentional, because I want you to remember as much as possible. Even if it's not right in this moment. Like I said, sometimes you'll have a hiccup and go, oh my God, forgot that I saw that. And it'll come in later on. But that is meant to anchor it into your subconscious so that I really did have this experience and I saw all of these beautiful, magnificent things. And this is a part of me. So awesome that you remembered, because I said, that's amazing. I love it. Perfect. That is perfect. Thank you for sharing that.
Rhodey, did you want to share? I didn't know whether you were going for your mute button. No. Okay. Very good. All right. Anyone else?
Now, what I can do from this point, and I'll leave it up to all of you to decide if that's the direction we go. And I am very happy, and frankly, this is where I live because it's fun for me, to answer psychic questions. Why? Because it gives me a rush, honestly. There's no part of the day where I don't want to answer psychic questions. If I could do this all day long, like everywhere, I would, because it's fun. It's absolutely fun, especially when I get to talk to new folks. So does anybody have a psychic question that they want to ask?
Okay, I've never known this group to be so quiet. Claire, did you have a question? Very good. Go ahead.
So in the last number of months, I've found that doing work for the indigenous people of Colombia seems to be bringing out my interest and my passion. They're trying to save and protect land that was theirs before the Spaniards came, and in order to prevent it from being developed. So is this my real purpose?
Yes.
Because I'm also a writer and I play the harp and I paint, and I never know I'm not very well organized.
Nor do you have to be. The answer is yes. They gave it to me probably about midway through you telling this is what I mean about divine intelligence, especially when you're on the path, they're always quick. Yep, that's it. This is it. Here's the thing. Claire, I'm getting you right as a result of this journey. So the books are coming. I actually see books with art in them, and the art feels very much like a channeled work, intuitive work. So I feel like, just like me right now, and you know, the channel's moving through me, you move channel through you when you create, when you art, when you utilize art, or when you are performing art. So all of your work feels like it is guided, divinely guided. This is the inspiration for a lot of the work. And what's interesting to me is it's an inspiration for a lot of the writing, but the writing is not limited to what you're doing right now. The writing is based on lifetime experience, but I feel like this current work is the catalyst to getting it all on paper and really organizing the story. And this does feel anecdotal, frankly. The writing, it feels very much like you are lesson teaching and also giving an anecdotal story of self. And it feels intertwined. And then I see art. It is discernibly possible that the art that you create is going to be either the front cover of your book, the back cover, or like an inside flap, or like a page, you know, like not necessarily in the context of the book, but like a page outside of it where you just see the art. And it feels like it's in black and white. So this, I may be looking at a reprint, what they're showing me right now, but I definitely get the sense that the art and the writing are going to become very fervent in your life. It's a result of this work, though. This work is the inspiration.
This is a book that I did. This is the cover of the book, and it's all about the call of Mother Earth. It's a verse narrative and how a being of light draws forth humanity's response. And it hardly is known. So I mean, meeting up with this group might, and I'm getting it reprinted right now.
Okay.
So,
okay.
I just have one more kind of question. I'm supposed to have cataract surgery on December 9th.
Mhm.
Is that a good idea? I have a problem with my cornea, and finally the cornea doctor said, I'll see you in 4 months. So, because he wanted to do a transplant of one layer, which is blurry, or which is something wrong with it, the lower layer. But I kept wanting to do the cataract instead. And finally he said, okay. So now I'm going to get it done December 9th. I just want to make sure it was a good decision.
So overall, I get a yes on it being a good decision and it being the right date. I do feel like the recovery time is significant. And I'm not sure if the doctors haven't said that, downplayed it, or maybe just didn't know, you know, like they may give you an average, but I feel like it may take you a little bit longer. And I also feel like you're keenly aware of what's going on in your own body and mind, and to listen to that inner voice and go, nope, I'm not ready yet. So continue to do that. It may be longer than what the doctors normally advise is a recovery time, but that's okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Absolutely. Yes, Olivia, I see your hand up. Absolutely. Unmute yourself for me, please.
Sorry, I'm on
There
my
you
phone.
go. No worries.
On my
No
computer.
worries.
Thank you so much. This is really so wonderful. Hi, Noelle. Hi, Bob. I am curious, like Claire, I've embarked on helping people tell their stories, and it felt as though it's part of my spiritual path. And like many ideas, other people have also, in a different way, gotten involved in it. And I'm just wondering if I'm supposed to keep on doing this, or if I should pull back and let the other people do it. It feels as though it came very much as part of my spiritual path. And then I have another question.
So I'm going to give you a really long-winded answer for a reason.
Okay.
First off, I am often told things that I tell people are the most spectacularly ridiculous things they've ever heard in their lives. And then they're on the journey a year, 2 years later, and they go, oh my God, I can't believe that actually happened. I'm prefacing your answer on purpose with exactly that. You're a publishing company, honey. That's what they're telling me, literally. They say you are the publisher. You apparently must know quite a bit about creation and publishing and all of the aspects of it, because they're showing you almost as the umbrella to like between 4 and 9 people who are almost, I almost want to put them in like the title I want to use is like creative directors or creative composers of some sort. So their gift is the writing and the creation. And I don't mean they're the ones creating the books. I mean, they're the ones who go out and find the writers to co-create whatever it is that's supposed to be out there, you know, for public consumption. You are the container that holds all of it. Does that make
Okay.
sense when I say that? And
Yeah.
what I'm really saying to you is I heard your words and I'm going, okay, there's a tie in here. You said, I don't know if I should step back and just let other people kind of, you know, move into those roles. I want you to look at this as I'm trying to think of a, you know, like Liza Minnelli. You know what I mean? Like if I'm coming to Broadway today, if Liza Minnelli is on the stage and she wants to teach me, I'm willing to learn, right? Like that's not a question. Same. It's the same for you. You have an arsenal of information. And I do feel like you're holding back because you're like, well, I don't want to step on anybody's toes. And I love why you're doing it. Your reason is very spiritual. But what I'm telling you is you haven't thought big enough on this. No, you're the umbrella that teaches everyone how to become the authors, the co-creators. This feels like
Okay.
a class, a program, an online. I'm talking from every angle. You're really supposed to be bringing the folks in to say, okay, I know you're this. I already know you create this thing, you do this thing. And honestly, they all feel like people like me. They're all healers or, you know, spiritual folks. And you're really helping them with creating the whatever, however it's delivered, whether it's an audio book or an actual book, or, and I got a feeling it's both. You're quite good at this whole formula. So own that and then find your team, because I get there's 4 to 5 people right away. I'm talking literally right now who already have the skill to help you bring in all the folks who are the you know, the spiritual people who are just, and P.S. this is your calling. This is a part of your spiritual journey. So part of your honey, your Oprah. You get where I'm going with it? Like your Oprah. I'm surprised Oprah's never created like a whole big giant publishing company, you know, and just done that all the time because she was so into the books. But you're that. You are the container where the rest of the containers are coming in. Louis, that wasn't the best example. You're Louise Hay. That wasn't the best example. You're Louise Hay. Yeah, it's you who brings the expertise. And please go to your next question. You said you had a second one. I'm sorry.
Well, I made a decision today and I took an action today, and I'm hoping that it will help me in this thing that you're just speaking about, as well as really getting my work out there in a new way.
Okay. So whatever the action is that you're speaking of, they're giving me hard yeses right after that. So whatever the action was, it was definitely in tandem with what it is you're supposed to be creating. And when they say what you're supposed to be creating, they don't even say for the planet, they say for the universe. That seems like a huge deal to me. They're not even talking our planet anymore. They're out there, you know, like this is a way to deliver something good to the world. Okay, all right. I'm not going to refute their words here. You're the big tent. Now it's your turn to bring everybody else into that tent. P.S. They're also saying things to me, and they don't normally go down these roads with me, but they're literally saying words to me like the funding is there. You have everything you need. I believe there's an organization that you're literally supposed to create of some sort, or it's a division of something else that you're a part of, but it's your baby and you are growing it with your expertise, but everybody else is doing the legwork. So I want to be clear on that part. You're the expert. It's the people who are right under you who are really doing all of the literal running around and legwork and getting people in order to present to the world. But yes, you're on your path. One of many, they keep saying, and I have to tell you, you really are kind of like Oprah. As they say that, I feel like there's 10 paths. I mean, there's a lot of paths for you still to walk down in relation to how you deliver the best of you to the planet.
I'd like to stay in touch with you because I've been I've been an overachiever in recovery, and I've been trying to really winnow down what I'm supposed to do, having left off a lot of things that I'm no longer interested in.
Okay. I'm going to actually, oh, you know what? Don't need to do that. The link to my website is actually in the feed. Definitely the best way to reach me, folks, is always Facebook. It's just where I communicate the most. So very
Okay.
easy to find me there because I'm Ahsaki Kai. Unfortunately, there is no other me.
Okay.
So feel free to reach out. Absolutely
Mhm.
reach out to me. I would love to connect because
Great.
tends to be where I come in for a lot of folks when they're in that moment between either the small version of themselves and the really big version of themselves, or the fork in the road between, am I staying in my corporate job or am I ready to go follow the path and do the thing that I'm really called to do?
Yeah.
Yes. Did that conclude your questions?
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
you're
you.
so welcome. You are
Thank
so very welcome. I saw hands go up and then I lost track of them. Yes, Noelle, absolutely. Yes, ma'am. You are also on mute.
Okay, I have two. Someone is talking to me about having joining a TV channel like Roku, or it's also going to be on Apple OS and Amazon Fire Stick.
Okay.
And I just got the non-disclosure agreement. So I can't disclose anything. But
Okay.
like, do you feel like that's a good avenue?
I get a mixed answer on this, and I feel like there's something about this that you don't like. There's something that feels like it's not a big thing, feels like a small thing, but it feels like something is gnawing at you in the background. And I got to tell you, this feels to me like it's your intuition talking, going, I like this. It's an opportunity. Feels like it could push X, Y, and Z forward. And at the same time, I also feel like there's a question. And the question, the way I'm summarizing it best right now, based on what they're showing me, is, do I know who I'm dealing with? That's what the question feels like to me. That's how it sounds, as because they're kind of wafting between sentences. They're like, do we know them? Do we know who we're dealing with? And I feel like there is an X factor there of who is actually in charge of this process. In other words, the network or the division itself. There's something about who's in charge of that process that feels incomplete in that it feels like there's a hole, almost like there's a middleman there that you can't quite see or you don't know exists. And there's something about that that just gnaws at me and goes, okay, do we know exactly who we're dealing with? And still, I don't think it's going to be a factor. I don't think it's going to necessarily be a hindrance. I think you're going to do this in the fashion. They're going, she's going to do this in the fashion that she always does. So I don't think this is actually going to be a hindrance, but it's the only thing that gives me just the slightest hiccup. Overall, I get a yes, but now I'm going to start talking in percentages because they do that with me. I get about an 80% yes and a 20% keep your eyes open and read that document probably several times to make sure that you know exactly who you're dealing with. If something stands out to you in who is listed in the control variables of this network or this channel or whatever else, if something stands out to you in that part, then ask the appropriate questions. Who is this? What is their stance on X, Y, and Z? Because where I feel like that little 20% deference, if you will, is right now, it feels to me like there may be a variable between how you do business and what you're presenting to the world, which you know what that is. You know what I mean? It's co-creation, it's mindfulness, it's all the right elements of let's move humanity forward. There is something about either who owns this company or who owns this company that I feel like is going to, you'll look at them, and the best way I know how to describe this, the way they're showing it to me, is it feels like you're going to want to make sure that their, I guess, morality, for lack of a better term, is in tandem with yours. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I know the person. She's the person's in our group. So
Okay,
I know
great.
her, but I don't know, some of the other players. But the thing that I have to look at closely is if I do this, do they become owners of the material? That's
the direction I'm going in, because that's about money versus
I don't
the
have
actual.
to pay anything. There's no fee to me.
No, I don't mean in that sense. I mean, those that are creating it. And of course, they would be interested in the monetary factor. I mean, everything isn't charity, but at the same time, the congruence between I'm investing to make my money back versus I'm here to get a message out to the world. Sometimes those things are perfectly aligned, sometimes not. That's the only place I'm suggesting. And again, this is a very small amount of the whole picture, but it's just something to pay attention to. And I don't get that it's the individual that you're dealing with in your own community. This is either beyond, in her circle, or above. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes, she's perfect, but it's
got one other
go ahead.
question, because there's other people I know want a question.
Yes.
Okay, so my mother-in-law passed the end of February, and we just bought her house, and the lights flicker a lot. So I just want to know, is there anybody hanging out in this house?
Yes. Her and about I'm not kidding when they say 14 other relatives are there pretty consistently also. I swear, and I don't mean this to be a cliche or funny, it feels like a family reunion all the time. And I feel like they're gathering there mostly because they can. And her energy is there. And it's like, oh, come on in and gather. It feels like Thanksgiving dinner. They're not there every day, all day, round the clock, but it's definitely this energy of, hey, come on in. Let's just all sit down, have a quick lemonade or coffee and chat. And then we go on about our day. That place is so filled with spirit energy. And I have to tell you, it feels like true home family energy, the kind of love that you hope for, like it's got that kind of feel to it. So yeah, it's a very active house. It's a very full of family though, full of family.
Okay, is it family on my side or Bob's side? This was my mother-in-law's house.
I hear Bob's side. However, a few of your relatives are present as well because it's a family reunion. So whatever brings them together, they're like, yep, whatever, we don't care. Come on in, let's have some coffee. It feels like campfire to me.
Do anyway.
Right? It feels so much like a campfire to me. Like if my family were all just hanging out at one place, we go, hey, how's everybody doing? And one person's telling stories and the next person's showing pictures. It just feels like a really jovial, it feels like Thanksgiving. It feels really magnificent and beautiful, and they're enjoying one another and they're enjoying the planet.
Bob has this little campfire candle here.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I love that. I really like that. That's so sweet.
Well, I'm gonna pass. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Absolutely.
Pass the baton to whoever's next.
Yes. Karen.
So I have a question, and then Shannon up after me. So I am visiting a dear friend here in Minnesota, and it recently came about that his brother misplaced a very large sum of cash in his home. So the brother in his own home, and cannot find this cash at all. And so I was asked if I would just ask if you have any insight on that.
So I'm going to go ahead and ask the obvious questions first. Is your friend or the brother present in the room right now?
No.
Good. I'm going to go ahead and say the thing that Spirit said to me directly. And I'm like, is that sarcasm? They're like, no, they're like, nobody loses that much cash. And it's almost like an eye roll. Like, are you kidding me right now? They're saying it's like a mental block. And I've deleted it from my brain, but I also get that there is a variable of guilt along with that block. Okay. I am getting that guilt. I don't know that I don't want to make any accusations, and I definitely don't want to make it sound like it's theft on purpose, because I'm not sure that that's what it is. But I genuinely feel like if the brother had his way, this money is earmarked for one thing, but he could really use it for something else. So he is in a bit of a quandary with himself. That's why he's mentally I just don't know where it is. He does. If he funny, I know I'm not being funny when I say this, because it definitely doesn't have to be me, but if he actually did like a hypno session, he'd probably find it, or past life, but he doesn't want to find it right now. That's where I'm really going with that. There's something very deeply internal going on with him where he's very conflicted. I don't know that he knows this on the conscious level, and if he does, he's definitely blocked it big time.
Yeah, from what I understand from my friend, his brother, there's also some drinking, escaping through drinking, like, so maybe even to the point of a blackout. So,
wow.
Yeah,
okay.
So I think he sort of tapped in.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I do hear that it is found eventually, and I get the feeling it's somewhere around Christmas. So this won't go on forever, but right now he is so blocked on being able to speak to it. Like, it's here. He's almost like he just doesn't know. Yeah, you're welcome. You're so welcome. Yeah.
So, okay, Shannon's up.
Yes, Shannon. Oh, there she
Ahsaki, I am afraid of this.
is.
And I didn't know what I was coming into when I came into this room.
Yes.
And I have also wanted very much to have this kind of an interaction. And so as much as I'm afraid of it, I am also knowing that what I call the magic in ordinary moments, Mom, is
Yeah.
pushing me. And so I have big stuff going on, and I can't even go into it. There's just too much. And I don't know if I'm doing the right things, and I'm doing what I'm doing, and it all is the right path and all that. And yet, where do I put my energy? Where do I push or allow it to flow?
So I'm going to take a step back and just give you this. And I haven't said this to anybody in a while, but in this work that I do in all things psychic, my belief system is this information comes directly from source. I look at myself much like people who are reverends or preachers or pastors or priests do, in the sense that I speak directly from spirit. They're saying, allay her fears, tell her you believe in God. I believe very firmly in God. And I've had the blessed moments to actually channel Jesus Christ. Not many, not often. It hasn't happened a bunch of times, but it has happened enough where I've known the difference in that presence. So they're telling me to give that to you so that you understand where this is actually coming from. They're saying she doesn't doubt it, but she does need to hear the words. No problem. Most of the folks that I was reading for a very long time, oddly enough, in Wisconsin, not quite Minnesota, but equally cold, especially right now. Most, I would say 99% of them were Catholic. So I end up talking to folks with more religious background than I've ever had, which I always find intriguing. Okay, so they keep telling me something about the road that you're on, and then they show me nature. Now, this is not my guided meditation that I'm looking at, but I literally see woods and a stream. And they're saying this is where she thrives. This is where you almost have to go in nature to feel fully grounded and to connect with whatever your truth may be in that moment, or whatever the truth may be in general for where you're trying to move things forward. I am getting, okay, they're showing me the same image again. And I can't help but wonder if this is an actual place that you've been to, because they've shown me the same image again and again and again. But I see rain boots. I see a rain like poncho or jacket. I see a stream. And I'm not sure if I'm seeing a watering can or plants, but whatever it is in the hand, it's all nature. You know what I mean? It's all connected to the earth. Oh, I did not think we were going in that direction at all. You have a genuine love for the planet. Okay, because they keep saying the word conservatory to me. The entire time I'm thinking they're just showing me you need to connect with nature. That is not at all where we're going here. That's part of it. But what they're really saying to me, much bigger picture, Sock, bigger picture. They're saying there's a conservatory. There's something that you want to have your hands in, and you're not sure if you're not sure if you should get involved. You're not sure if it's too much to take on. So it's okay. Let me take a step back. It's not so much that you don't know if you should get involved. You know. You have a deep knowing, but there's a fear for you in, oh my God, this is so big. Oh, honey, part of this is you thinking, I'm just going to say this the way they're hearing it. And if I'm off on this, you let me know. You think age has something to do with your energy level for this. Am I hearing that right? Like there's a part of you that's like, oh God, but do I have that in me? Do I have that? Here's why you have it in you. You see you right now? Just look at yourself on camera. The emotion, this is God's work. When that passion runs through you, when the emotion is overwhelming and you know you do anything to do it no matter what, even if you don't have that's how you know this is exactly where you're supposed to be. whatever this thing is that involves the word conservatory and takes you into nature and does some sort of work on conservation for the planet, I get the hardest yeses I've heard all night, honey. You are supposed to do this work, and it is destined for you. And I mean that in the loudest way possible. It's calling your name. Oh, wow. There's some sort of add-on here with the angelic realm and the angels watching over you while you go through this journey and this process and do this work to essentially mother the planet. Whoo, wow. Because they're, oh my God, when I say God's work, I really mean God's work. They're saying to me, Mother Earth so desperately needs to be nurtured, and now she needs us, in particular those of us who understand rebirthing, to come and help her rebirth. I see why you're crying now. Okay, I get it. Yeah, this is a big deal. Listen, follow your heart, honey. The energy will be there for you. All you have to do is ask. That's when that's where the angelic realm comes in. They are there to, I literally see white wind becoming behind wings, and they're whoosh, pushing you along through this journey going, don't worry, on the moments when you're not sure if it's in you, that's when they'll be there, pushing you along the way, helping you accomplish. This involves several different countries. Am I hearing this right?
Their world, Ahsaki.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. The conservatories are repurposed buildings in communities everywhere. It is our heart gardens. It is the heart of the one we are.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
I do what I can.
Thank you. This work matters. What you are doing matters tremendously. I can't stress that enough. It matters. Even in the moments when it seems like it doesn't, I promise it does.
My name is sunlight sparkling on the waters.
Oh.
I was named by Mom.
Wow.
I am so grateful. Thank you so, so much. My
You are very welcome.
email address is sparklingwithall@gmail.com.
Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ahsaki.
Okay. You are very, very welcome. And thank you. Thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. It is not always easy, and this is just a general statement. It is not always easy especially now in the world that we live in. It's not always easy to follow the call when a lot of what happens around us looks like, why are you following the call? Like, what are you doing this for? What down? Have you lost your mind? Listen, I live with 4 generations in my house. Everybody thinks I'm crazy. It's okay. I have a going statement in class. You're not crazy. You're just psychic. We just know things, and we know we are here to do God's work, and you are at the helm. Keep going. You are doing good things. Trust that. Keep going.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. All right, we're going to get the tissues out, folks. Okay, I said I wasn't crying, but that's over. Okie doke. No worries. No worries. All right, who else can I answer a question to? And P.S. I don't want to. I'm sure you probably can tell I'm a chatty Cathy. I could do this all night. So, Noelle, should I like stop at a certain point or just cut the conversation?
We have time for one more question and then a tiny wrap up, and then we will make a little announcement about next week. And then, if people are just feeling the love and they want to stay on, they can, leave room and go back to the main room where there's still a lot of activity going on. And definitely as you close, I mean, I know you've shared your, we put your website in Facebook, but if there's anything else you want to share about your work, please do, because this is phenomenal.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that opportunity. Who else wanted a question? Because I know there was somebody remaining.
So is this the last call for questions before we wrap it up? Anybody else?
I have a question.
Sherry?
Rhodey?
I have a question.
Rhodey.
Yes.
Yeah. Go right
Hi.
ahead. Yes.
So I just have more wanting to know about what old souls are about, because I've been called an old soul before, so I don't know what you see.
So they're telling me two different, they're giving me a visual and they're telling me something. They're saying they call her an old soul because she reflects and embodies, oh, okay, I like that word, the reverence and respect that comes with ages of wisdom. Does that make sense? So you come with a wisdom that typically doesn't come out of younger people. You come with a wisdom that comes with someone who's 80 or 100 or 400 or 800. You get where I'm going with that? Like you come with an internal wisdom that feels like it speaks to the ages. Now, what they're showing me energetically, though, is you are an old soul. And I mean that quite literally. You have returned to this planet about 1 billion times. And every time you have been some kind of, that is so funny. The words they're using tonight are very interesting. They keep saying Witcher. And I'm going, that's a show on Netflix with Henry Cavill. It may just be about Henry Cavill, folks. But I get the feeling what they're showing me is like witch doctor or medicine woman. At least that's what it looked. They're not saying the words really, but they're showing me the symbolism. I see a very tall woman, long hair, looks indigenous to wherever she is. She's got shells and something else like on a string in one hand, 2 bottles with different, like one has herbs and one has some sort of greenish looking concoction, looks like essential oils that are mixed together. My point in all of that is they're saying this has traveled with you for generations. I mean that from your bloodline standpoint to your energetic standpoint, and those are not always one and the same. And I'm emphasizing that because it feels like it comes from all directions and intercedes in you in this lifetime. You have a lot of old wisdom that you carry with you that I can't, frankly feel like kind of sprouts out of nowhere. You know, like someone will ask you a question, you go, oh, you know, you give an answer and they'll kind of look at you like, where did that come from? And you'll kind of say, I don't know. I get the feeling you're channeling, but it feels like you're channeling something that is innate. It's inside of you. And it's always been there for generations. They keep going back to that word for generations. So you are a very old soul. You have been here a long time on this planet and others, and you've learned a lot and you have a lot to teach.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You are welcome. There was one other person I saw. Was it Sherry? I think it was Sherry. Sherry, unmute yourself, love.
Hello, and thank you for what you do.
Oh, absolutely. You're so welcome.
My question, I've been sitting here trying to figure out how to formulate it because I feel like I've been on this path with my work where, you know, I've been working with trauma and people individually, and I'm really feeling drawn. Like I want to go open a magic school or something.
Okay, that would explain the phrase they keep saying the whole time you're talking. They're going, just go farther, and then I see this light that looks like like it feels like a pyramid coming out of your chest from your heart chakra, but it's expanding outward like it's very awkwardly placed, but it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm like, okay, where are we going with all this light? And they're saying she just wants to see all of it, do all of it. You are meant to expand into exactly that world. It's, oh, you're in a similar place to me. It's where the coaching, the tools are converging with the really higher level magic. And that's where I feel like you are going next, and also where you're going to teach, they're telling me. So this is something you not only that you learn in and of yourself, but it also feels like something that you teach. And oh, you weren't kidding about the mystery schools part, because I see 7, 8 people who are learning from you, and then they teach as well. So you weren't kidding at all about that part.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's what it's called, but it feels along those lines. It feels like, okay. This feels like an initiation into a level of magic work. I don't want to be dramatic with that, but it feels to me like an initiation into, for lack of a better term, almost like an order. of individuals who learn a certain magistry or magic along with, or as part of, that's it. It's as part of a self-development tool. So there's two things converging for sure.
Yeah.
And that's where the magic really happens.
Because I feel like there's something I'm supposed to know right now. Is that true?
No, you already know it. I'm looking going, is there a thing? What do they have to tell her? And they're like, she already knows it.
Remember it then?
It's you already have it. You're waiting for, they're saying it to me like she's waiting for like this big picture definition of it. And the big picture comes from the little pieces. You are the big picture, in other words. The little pieces are the school, the self-development work. There's something in there about a very specific, I get the feeling there's a modality or modalities attached to this that are very specific to, one is just very aligned with self-development type work. And then the other one is literally like formulas, like magic school. Think Harry Potter. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, we're going up there. We're going to spells and all the good stuff.
Modality. I created that already.
Okay.
So that needs to fly. But like
Okay.
now I'm like going, but I really want to go over here and play with Harry Potter.
It's both. Don't limit yourself. It's something we do a lot, I think, in this industry, especially as practitioners. We all think we have to niche down to this one thing. Most practitioners that I see do any sort of self-development work extraordinarily well are trained in 5 different things, and they're using whatever tools they need. And I know that's the way I work. That's why I call myself an alchemist, because at one moment I'm doing hypno, at another moment I may be doing Reiki, at another moment, I may be doing psychic work or channel work. It all intertwines together to create our own individual kind of mastery. That's really what I'm doing now and continuing to grow into even more. That's exactly where you're converging these really big arts into one, and the one comes from you, and then that becomes a whole modality. And we often analyze, I literally hear you saying the word, and I don't know if this is coming from your subconscious or someone else, but they're saying, is that necessary? And then I hear another voice go, of course, like, yeah, of course it's necessary, because we all learn in different ways. And as we advance as a species, and we are advancing rapid fire right now, as we advance as a species, we're looking for the convergence of Reiki and hypnotherapy or psychic. And, we want those things because that evolves us even faster, and it allows us to evolve ourselves even faster. So you're doing this perfectly. You're already there. It's just, you're playing with the thought and you're going, is that a thing? Oh, it's a thing. It's totally a thing. It's totally a thing. Open the Harry Potter school.
Modality is pretty much all that rolled in, like what you're talking about.
That's it. That's it. And it's yours.
Teaching the kids how to play.
Oh, okay.
Doing that too. Yeah. So
beautiful. I told Kathy when I was on her segment a couple weeks ago, I could talk to you guys all day. These are easy readings, folks, because everybody's on the path. So, there's not a lot of pulling from it. This isn't heavy lifting work for me, simply because most of you, all of you, I'm sure, are on some sort of spiritual path already. It makes this process 1,000 times easier because you understand you're manifesting it. You're all co-creators yourselves. So beautiful things are happening in this room. I love it. I absolutely love it. Can I answer anything else for anyone else?
Yes. I have another question. Okay.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I wasn't sure who it was. Yes, go ahead.
Oh. So, I know I'd asked about the old soul scenarios. I talk about this lifetime all the time when I'm referring to what I'm doing now, or whenever I just say this lifetime, or I'll say next lifetime. But I don't have any vision of myself past like 60 years old this lifetime.
And
So
your question
that's kind of where
is,
my question is, I really don't see myself as in old age, as past 60 years old. So is that where I'm going? I mean, I'm okay at any time, any day, but I'm just like longevity this lifetime. I'm not playing with longevity, it seems in my head.
so I'm going to say several things in response to this, and I'm going to start with this. Anytime that I give predictions on life or death, and this is important, especially because you're so young asking a question that's so far out, 9 times out of 10, and I've seen this in folks who are 75 to 75 and beyond, people decide all the time whether they're staying or going. I'm talking in a moment. I've seen folks with stage 4 cancer who are like, nope, I'm not leaving. And they stay another 3 years just to mess with the kids or the grandkids. It depends on who that individual is. But the reason I'm prefacing my answer is because I want to be clear that we are creating those outcomes as well. We're still deciding, we're manifesting all of it. Yes, we actually have that kind of power and control within us. And I actually see up to about 65, but they're saying the reason why you don't see beyond 60 is because you've accepted this notion, like you've embodied it almost, like you've really accepted the idea. That's about it. That's where this is ending. Doesn't have to be that way, I promise. You can decide to do 100 if you want. You can be here till 140 if you so desire. But I want to be clear on why you're only seeing that far out, because I feel like you've become very resolute inside yourself. That's where I see this ending, or that's where I see me no longer being, at least on this earth plane. Okay. I won't complicate that answer one solitary second listening to them say this again. They're saying this is all about your intention. So if you want that story, again, what I'm doing is reflecting what you are currently manifesting. Right now, I see about 65, but again, that's because that's the story you've decided on. If you decide tomorrow you're going to live to 85, I guarantee if we talk again in a week, then that's likely what I'm going to pick up on. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Great. So right now, yes, I see those kinds of numbers, but I have to tell you, just based on this conversation, I have a feeling that's probably going to alter.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, folks. I know it's 9:36 on my end, so I don't want to push the river there on time.
I'm going to send it back to Karen, and she'll tell us about next week's guest. But if you all would just give some twinkling thanks to Ahsaki.
Guys are awesome.
It's so fabulous.
Thank you.
But will you tell everyone what you offer and how they can get a hold of you?
Yes, I'm actually posting a couple of links. Well, that wasn't all of it. I'm actually posting a couple of links. One is for a short reading with me, a 10-minute reading. It's actually the easiest way to access me fairly quickly. The other link that I'm going to post is for one of my workshops. It is the Jumpstart to Intuitive Development. And it also and often answers the question for people on life purpose. Why am I here? What am I really trying to do? It has a guided meditation, and there's 2 guided meditations within it that will give you some very specific instructions to pull those things out and see them for yourselves. I tell everyone that I'm a great tool to find out what your life purpose is, but there is nothing like experiencing that in a guided meditation or in your own subconscious, because the knowing there is the deepest knowing you're ever going to have. So I will post, give me just one moment, and I'm going to post the reading. If you're lost in any way, folks, easiest ways to find me again are Facebook and my direct website. If you send me information, I promise you I will reach back out to you and we will start the conversation on whatever it is that you need to get your needs met, to make sure that you have the answers that you're looking for. That's awesome. You guys are getting together on Thanksgiving too. Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Karen.
Thanks, Karen.